and welcome to Hixxy Studio. This is the card that I'm going to show you how to make today. We are going to be using this indigo blue collector's edition stamp. It's number 26, the Queen Bee Mini. It's a red rubber stamp. It's already pre-mounted. And then we're going to also be using this frame die. This is from Precious Marieke, the Romantic Roses collection, and the die is called Rose Frame. Okay. Also, in addition to that, I'm using just scattered straw. That's the only thing that's adding the colour here. And then I'm using Spectrum Noir waterproof die in Flagstone Finesse for actually stamping. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do then is I am going to cut the frame. So this die comes in, well, there's a couple of pieces to it. This inner bit you can, if you want to, take out with like a pair of wire cutters. This sort of thing I would use. In the case of this die, I don't think it's necessary because you are going to be cutting that whole bit out anyway. So yeah, this is just like, add a little bit of bonus in there. So before I do that though, I just want to come back to the card. I've kind of gone for a white on white theme apart from that little pop of colour from the scattered straw. Now, when I do white on white, I tend to go for different textures. I tend to go for different kind of finishes on the card. So this card uses a combination of, if I get them out. So I've got Centura Pearl. I've got an ordinary white card base. So I've got Centura Pearl, the hint of silver. Then I've got, and these are things you may have in your stash. If you don't, it's you can create it using, different embossing folders. This is hammered card. This is the Centura that's gone through an embossing folder. And I'm going to cut. Bear with me. There's my card base. I'm going to cut. Oh, here it is. Going to cut the die from. There it is. No, there it is. From this is white linen card. So for me, it's all about just varying the textures on a white on white card. So let's put those over to the side. Let's get the die back in and let's just cut a piece that's the right size for cutting off. Okay. This is a very intricate die. There are lots of cutting edges on it, but it does cut very nicely depending on the thickness of your card, the texture of your card. I'm just looking for some tape, but I've got lots of little bits there that I'm going to reuse. The other thing to do with an intricate die like this is to, as you put it on your plate, is to kind of offset it. So we're going to put this through. And we will just check it's cut. If it's not cut first time, then we'll just twist the die round and then we will have another go. I just knocked my okay, so we can see here that this little bit here hasn't cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my plate back and I'm going to take this bit off because I don't need it anymore. So I'm going to go that way this time. Let's see. It really does depend on, well, the pressure of your machine. It depends on the cardstock you're using, whether you've got any spots on your machine where the pressure's not so good, and if my plates are a little bent, so there will be spaces. Now this one here still hasn't quite, but I'm not going to worry too much. I'm pretty sure we can get those bits out with a little bit of, with my pokey tool. Let's have a look. No, they're not. So I am going to put it through once more. Because, you know, this is reality. This is what happens. Sometimes these things do not want to cut first time. But this one is worth persevering with because it's an absolutely beautiful die. And I've done another video using this die with the foundations card, which is a completely different thickness. And that one cut perfectly the first time. So it's more about the card than the die. Now that's looking better. Right. Okay, let's get our brush on this. And you can see the amount of pieces. Now I can see some little blue pieces coming out, and I wonder whether some of that was why it wasn't cutting properly in places. Really important to clean your dies thoroughly, particularly when you've got tiny little pieces like this, because, you know, just one or two little pieces caught in there is really going to alter the pressure in those spots when you put it through with another piece of card. Okay, so let's take the die out, and you'll be able to see also here the other bits that you get from having left that other die in. You get this little one there. This one's already popped out. Get another little frame there, and somewhere it was obviously popped. Oh, there it is. You get the little square from the middle. Now I have little box that I just throw in little die cuts like this, and you never know when you might want to add those if you're layering things up. So as you can see, it's coming out no problem. Only a few little bits left in there, and only one or two little bits left in here now. So if it hasn't cut first time, then, you know, just persevere, because this is a die worth persevering for. Like I said, it has cut the foundations card first time, no problem. Okie dokie. Right, let's get rid of those. So that's one bit done. The next sort of bit is to stamp. Now you can use these mounted stamps with your stamping platform. But bear with me, I just need to find the stamping card. Cut that off. Sorry, I got completely distracted there because my card wasn't in the right place. So, it's no problem to use your red rubber stamps in and mounted stamps in stamping platform. This stamp plate comes all as one, and I did cut it out, and the only thing you need to be really careful with then is when you're inking it that you make sure you clean off the edges. I'm a really messy when I come to doing stamping like this, and I end up with ink everywhere. So I'm going to put my piece of stamping card here, and I'm going to put, because I cut this, as you can see, I cut it out with a rectangle die. So as long as I've got room around it to cut, that's what I'm looking for. So, okay, so we're going to get our finesse, and I'm also, before I even start, going to get myself a piece of paper towel to try and minimise the mess that I am going to get into with stamping. So I am, let's just move this somewhere where you can see it a bit better. Other things out of the way. So trying to work as tidy as possible. You can see my stamping platform is a mess, but it doesn't stop it working. It just looks a little bit messy. So I'm going to make sure that we cover our stamp with ink. And before I go ahead and stamp this, I am just going to take my roll and just go around the edges and make sure that I haven't got any bits that I'm then going to stamp as I press down. Now, I found with the red rubber that you really don't need hardly any pressure at all. See what I mean? And I've got a little bit there. I'm just going to have another go at that. There we go. So there's, now that's the easy part, but I always like to make things trickier. And you can see I wanted the sentiment stamped, this little queen bee stamped right there. Now, if this was a clear stamp, that would be easy to do because I'd be able to see through the stamp to see where I want to position it. But these are red rubber stamps. And believe me, there are lots of advantages to red rubber stamps in terms of what you can and can't do with them. But obviously you can't see through them. So I have my little queen bee stamp here. And so what I resorted to doing is I drew myself terrible lines, but I drew myself a little kind of guide. And that kind of corner is where I need that to be kind of on the edge of the leg. Sorry, it went quite there. I was trying to position it. So we will see whether this works. So there are ways and means. If you can find the ways and means, you can pretty much do everything. So I'm just going to make sure I clean that off. Okay, and then there we go. Exactly what I wanted. So yeah, red rubber stamps with a stamping platform, no problem. You can still line them up. It just needs a little bit more thought. Okay, so I have, bear with me, I have gone ahead and cut that out. Same thing, just cut it out. I'll put that one inside for another card. What I'm going to do now is I am going to use scattered straw. Now, I'm not even going to bother with any water or anything. I am literally going to take my brush and I'm just going to go over the top of the pad. I don't need a lot of ink here because all I'm going to do is literally fill in these little bits on the body. So a dry brush will pick up enough ink to enable you to do this. Because I mean, you know, it's the same when you put your brush on it or you stamp with it. The ink is there. All I'm doing is picking it up with the brush as opposed to a anything else. What I will say is don't make your brush wet before you put it on there. Okay, that's the last thing you want to do. You need a nice dry brush. Oxides and the stress inks are water reactive, so as soon as you introduce water onto there, then you're kind of asking for trouble. So there is my bee painted. Now, if you can see, you see the wings. Now, I have used something that's been in my stash for years. I've had it, not necessarily had this bottle for years, but I've had glossy accents as part of my stash for years because it just really makes things shine. So all I've done is I have literally, now, word of warning, start it off on a separate piece of paper just in case you've got a bit of a clog, which I have, which stops it coming out properly. Right, and then once you've got it flowing, then it's a case of squeeze a bit And then it's a nice kind of pointy nozzle, and you can just spread it with the applicator itself. You don't need anything else. Spread it. It's really quite thick and viscous. It's not like going to just run away. Where you put it is where it's going to stay, and it kind of does level itself. So this is just going to provide some really nice shiny wings for our bee. Now, you do need to put this to the side to dry, and it does take a while to dry, but it is worth it. It's worth taking the time to do that. Just adds that little effect. So that will need to go to one side to dry. Put it over there, and get all my other bits together. And I have one here. As you can see, this one's already ready. Wings are nice and shiny. Let's get these bits from over here. I have my base card. It's 7x7 base card. My layers here. Oh, now that's reminded me. I've got one more thing that I need to do. I have already cut, and I've used dies, but you don't need to use dies. I've cut out. I've just used some sort of nesting. You see, they were nesting sort of square dies to cut out these bits. This one. Okay, this one is the one that's going to sit under here just to add that little pop of colour. This one is the one that I've then cut to create this little edge here and this little edge here. And all I need is a bit of my scattered straw again on both. And I am not kind of being heavy-handed. I'm actually going to stick that one inside because I can pretty much do both of them at the same time. I don't need to like really sort of a lot of pressure. I'm not bothered if it's particularly even. This is just to create a little pop of colour that matches the bee. That's all it is, just to give that little lift to it. So I'm just putting a little bit here. Like I say, you can see I'm not making it even. I'm not bothered. It's not necessary. I mean, if you want to, you can. Or if you've got a coloured card or a coloured paper that matches, then by all means, just move that to the side. Quick spray and just knock that up. I've already got a bit that's quite yellowy, so that will go nicely with that. Okay, right. So I think now we are ready to assemble. The bit I'm missing is right. Let's keep going. The one bit I'm missing at the moment is the bit to put this on, the bit of ceinture pearl. Just bear with me. I will have a ramage. And here it is. There it is. Right. So let's get sticking. So there's my base card. And we're going to start with the ceinture pearl. Oh. Obviously didn't clean my mat particularly well. Managed to get yellow ink, so we're going to turn that over. On the front there. There we go. And then this is the hammered. Remember, this is purely because I like to create different sort of layers of textures and sort of shades, if you like, tones. I never know which is shades or tones. When doing a predominantly white card, just excuse me, gives it a little bit more interest. That one. So we need this one. Which bit shall we use? Let's use the thicker bit here. And I am going to cut that there and there. And we'll just get that stuck on. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue literally along the edge here. and stick up there. So we've got our little colour. I mean, it looks like you've used the whole kind of square, where in fact you only use a really tiny bit. And then this one, I'm going to cut off there. No, but cut a little bit off so it's just a little bit shorter like the other side. And then this bit down here. You're adding in these little bits of colour. You're not really using a whole lot of card, just to give it a little bit of interest. Right, so this bit is going to go up here. Some acrylic glue. And a bit of an angle there. Now with this one, you're better off sticking this first, making sure you've kind of got it in the right place. That will do. Might give myself a little bit of a pencil line just as a guide. I know where I'm going. So glue on this. And this one sits behind this, just giving that little bit of colour. Goes there. And now this one, I am going to use my little pot and just squeeze off any colour from my pen. And I am only going to go, get a piece of paper so that I'm not doing that directly onto the mat. I'm going to go around the edge, and I'm going to go around the inside edge as well, and that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to try and put glue on the intricate bits. You can use a spray glue like Crafter's Companions, Stick and Stay, that's the red tin, you know, for intricate dies like this if you want. Blot a little bit of that off on that paper, and then position this over like so. Remember, I've only glued around the very edge and the very middle. Give that a little bit of time to take. Doesn't seem to want to stick. There we go. Start to stick now. There we are. I'll go a bit tackier in a minute. Then this bit's going to go in the middle. I'll grab a piece of paper and I'm going to like this. And if I've got inky, gluey fingers, I'm not transferring that on, and hopefully there we go. It's nice and stuck now. So this piece is going to go here. In fact, I'm looking at what I did there. I think what I did is I stuck this one on first, and then I put 3D glue gel behind the whole lot. So that one is now on there. Put the pin back in there for the now. And then a bit of 3D glue gel behind here. Like so. And finished off with a little bow. Oh, that was an air bubble in my little syringe there. So, and there we have it. Our Queen Bee Mini from Indigo Blue, combined with our rose frame from Precious Marieke, with a little bit of scattered straw thrown in. Thank you.